I wouldn't have thought a chapter that felt so short would end up being just so significant, but there are a numerous amount of bullet points that need to be gone over. First of all, Soshiki's eye actually was completely destroyed in that battle against the asshole son, as it were. I don't even want to remember that little turd. I'm sorry. But, I kept thinking, it's just like, Shiki's eye, it's gone, isn't it? And sure enough, it was in fact gone. And damn this cover page for making me think that he was just going to get an eye patch. But it was noted that when it came to Elsie Crimson, she could have had her eye replaced, but she chose not to. So ultimately, Shiki did, in fact, get a techno eye, which apparently also has X-ray vision, which, oh man, classic Mishima bullshit. But I do appreciate the fact that, unlike Natsu, Shiki isn't completely oddly dead in some situations when it comes to the female figure, but kind of perverted in certain ways that Natsu could be. Natsu was kind of all over the place when it came to how he interacted with women, which is again weird because it's not like during Natsu's formative years he wasn't around girls. But it's also kind of interesting when Pino and Happy do kind of question Shiki about the fact that, well, part of you is mechanical now. How do you feel about that? Like they kind of expected him to feel down in the dumps about it, but it's just like, man, with Shiki's love of damn near everyone, why would he feel upset about having a robotic eye? He loves robots. So of course he's completely fine with that. And Chris, like, I feel like that would have been mean to Chris if they had done that because like so much of Chris, his body has been like replaced with mechanical parts. It's just like, come on, why would he, like, that would be really insulting to like the majority of the crew if he felt that kind of way. We also have something kind of come to a head that we've slowly been moving up to over time. And that's the discussion between Wise and Laguna. As interestingly enough, they meet in the bath, which, I mean, hey, half naked dude fan service, so she was being very equal opportunity when it comes to this kind of stuff. But Wise does ask Laguna, why didn't you go back to Oasis? And he does simply state, they kicked me out, which, I mean, yeah, he left. But the question ultimately comes down to, I mean, why didn't you just stay with them? They probably welcome you back, but Laguna basically kind of goes into his backstory for the most part. That, he started off as an actor. That was always kind of his thing from the jump. It was a small place where he acted, but he did kind of become a bit of a big name. He had this best friend named Harold. They had this dream of becoming great actors and all that, performing in bigger and bigger theaters. I mean, the dream of any actor, I would assume. This was his best friend. But everything happened with the Empire. His best friend Harold was killed, and of course he cried over him. But Laguna had just been so wrapped up in acting that he started to kind of wonder if his tears were real. When he did shed tears for Harold, he questioned, is he crying too much? Is he crying too little? What does my face look like now? He was trying to figure out how he should be emoting for this moment. And ultimately Wise just kind of chalks it up to, I mean, hey, that's just how you work. You're really involved with your craft. But it really kind of seemingly disturbed Laguna. He was frustrated with the fact that he couldn't tell if he was playing a part of being Harold's friend or if he was genuinely Harold's friend. So he retired from show business, joined Oasis, and yada yada yada. You know where he ended up here. But I guess what I've taken away from this discussion, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Laguna's life has just been all about playing a part in something else, always being a part of something bigger than himself. And, he, up until recently, he played the part of the man who swore vengeance against the Empire. And that vengeance has for the most part, been obtained. To be with Oasis any longer, he doesn't see much sense in it from his standpoint. Maybe if his princess had lived, that'd be another story, but do we know how that worked out? So he's decided he wants to play the part of an aide to the crew of Eden. He wants to join them because they helped defeat his enemy, the Empire, so he wants to help them in their pursuit of whatever. He wants to do whatever he can to play a part in just helping the ship of Eden's sail ever onward towards its destination for the most part. It's a very roundabout way of saying that, hey, I owe you guys a debt. You did a big thing that really helped me out. I achieved what I wanted to achieve only because of you guys, and therefore I will help you achieve whatever you want to achieve. For the most part, it's a very awkward way of saying, I just want to help you guys out. Which, that's kind of Laguna's character. So, Laguna has officially joined the crew of Eden. Meanwhile, Hermit has been analyzing the data from the previous trip to Mother that Ziggy took, and they found out that the Eden Zero went from the Sakura Cosmos to the Oi Cosmos, and apparently the next destination they went to was the Kaede Cosmos, which is a little bit harder to pin down on what that means, but we'll see once we get there. But as all of that's going on, Shiki decides to make a sweeping statement to the crew of Edens. And this is one of the few moments where Shiki really acts as a captain, as it were. And he makes it known that their goal has not changed. It's still to make it to Mother. He wants to make that known. The goal is still get to Mother, do what no other ship has ever done before, or as far as anyone really knows, honestly. But Shiki's perspective on things, of course, have changed. Fighting in this massive battle and all-out war, being involved in it, he's seen how dangerous Ziggy can be. A world of machines and machines only, and just killing everyone who he can to make it happen, even bots. It really does show that Ziggy's got more than a few screw looses. And it is through that he's able to fully see Ziggy as an enemy. And we find out that weird bandage that Shiki has had across his face this entire time came from when he was little. And he got this, cut that was probably going to leave a scar, and it couldn't be healed. And so in order to make Shiki feel better, Ziggy had put this little bit of tape over it to mask the scar. And that was symbolic of his love of Ziggy, his care. And so for the first time, Shiki takes that bit of tape off, that little bandage off, and decides to be proud of his scars for the most part, and embrace the fact that he does have to take down Ziggy. Ultimately, while the death of which regret was regrettable, ultimately it helped to be the fuel to push Shiki forward in stopping Ziggy no matter what. And he also makes it known that yes, we will be stopping Ziggy, but this isn't for revenge for Witch or a grudge, anything like that. It's about saving the universe, saving innocence, helping people. Very much sticking to what we've seen from Shiki up until this point. And so Shiki declares that they will get stronger no matter what, in order to make sure that they never lose anyone or no one ever gets hurt again. Also, I guess we can assume at this point that Couchpo is part of the crew, because she is damn sure trying her best to stick around for the food. So, more power to her in the end. And thus our narrator Xiao Mei once again enters into the story, talking about just letting you know about the events that have happened around this. The Oi Cosmos has been liberated, but several lives were lost ultimately. It'll be a while before the dust completely settles, but there will be peace. to the Oi Cosmos. The Union Army has occupied Nero 1, and a new administration is being put in place, which, I mean, of course, once you have a massive coup like this, you need some form of order placed in. And with everything going on with the Union Army, they need to make sure that that's done correctly, to make sure no other despots come into power. Oasis was disbanded, they released their prisoners, and they reformed into a new official civilian militia, probably just to make sure the transition goes over smoothly. The whole situation that kind of started this off for the crew of Edens in Foresta escalated pretty badly, but that CEO guy of the bot company helped to bring that to a peaceful conclusion ultimately. Ziggy has disappeared into the cosmos once again, and with Shiki's declaration that he will get stronger, something I wasn't expecting happened. Time passes, and not just a year, 3 years pass by. That is insane. Because it's not like Mashima has never done time skips before. With this one, at least it's not as jarring as the one done in Fairy Tail, because that whole 7 years forward into the future, that was too much. No, that's way too much time to have pass. 3 years, that's a little bit more of a, okay, I'll take that. Anything that hits 5 years or more, I start to feel kind of iffy about, because that's a lot of time to have passed and us not knowing anything about it. I will always feel some kind of way about the 7 years that passed for the Fairy Tail Guild, especially because certain characters didn't change enough to justify that time skip. 7 years, and some of y'all are still kind of at a lower power level and ability level and stuff like that. That's a bit, But at least with this much time, the crew of Edens can have grown to a significant enough amount, and not to mention it's a good enough amount of time for them to have bonded to a more definitive extent. They've really gotten to know each other, experience things with each other, not to mention there are little adventures that could be peppered in between all of this. But man, that is one hell of a choice to make. I'm interested to see where things go from here on out, because dang, Mashima, if you had told me this was going to happen, I would have had a hard time believing it, because nothing really made me think this was going to happen. But I mean, yeah, with everything that has gone on with Ziggy and everything that's happened, it does make some kind of sense. So I'm interested to see if a lot of our favorite character designs have changed in any significant way, what's happened with because a lot of things were set into motion that felt like they were going to be very time sensitive. And for apparently, I guess, Ziggy to have lied dormant for 3 whole years, I don't know, something about that feels kind of odd. But I guess it could potentially fast track a little bit of their travels. I don't know, it feels weird. I need to see what has changed and what has developed for the crew of Edens going forward to really feel like this time skip is justified. But with all of the planning that Mashima has done up until this point, I want to believe that this was a good choice to make. So tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think this time skip will actually be significant in the long run? Or is it just a way of having things shift within the world of Eden Zero so that we can just yada yada some of the finer points? And how do you think some of our characters have changed beyond just looks? How much more powerful do you think some of the characters have gotten? I mean, at least with this, some of them would have at least gotten a little bit more of a better handle on some of their abilities and made better weaponry, improvements to the Edens. A whole bunch of stuff could have really happened. And we get a few surprises going forward too. They get to train a little bit more with their overdrive modes and stuff. There's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives that can come into play. So we'll just have to wait and see. But hey, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notification. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'll see you on the next voyage of the Eden Zero. Till then, bye-bye.